Oh, please, Barrister Mbeseha, over to you.
Well, I think there's too much in the Kansas City 3 that could take us days, if not weeks, to discuss. But the most important thing, which I've said, which is said by Dr. Munga and the Vice President, is that the letter received by Dr. Martin Mungwa from the statement from the State Department, from the Justice Department, is telling. The Justice Department is the overall Ministry of Justice, federal justice in the United States. And if they write on their letterhead officially that whatever thing they're accusing the Kansas City 3 of, does not amount to any criminal offense. That's the boss. I don't know any federal prosecutor, any federal judge in the United States who can in any shape or form contradict the whole Justice Department. But what concerns us is this. If the issues alleged in the indictment are judged by the Justice Department to not be criminal, to simply be civil, what then are the Kansas City 3 still doing in jail? What are they doing in jail? They did not need a Congress to meet and ask them to be released. A telephone call, a text message will get them free. That is from the Justice Department in Washington, D.C. to wherever the case is in Kansas or any other state, to any other federal court. It has not been done. And so what do we get out of that? We get out of that in my own words, this is my own words, I think the Kansas City 3 might turn out being a blessing in disguise in the whole struggle. It's a blessing in disguise. We heard Lennox Hines say how he defended Mandela. But for the United States government under their president or whatever at the time, to even describe Mandela as a criminal, that they first of all had to put the ANC under which Mandela was as a terrorist organization. It was wrong, but they first described this as a terrorist organization. And therefore, whoever is under the organization, by the American law, was seen as a terrorist, which was not true, but they had to do that. Right now, the American government, the Justice Department, since 2018, under President Trump, and through now under President Biden, they have not described the Ambazonian government in exile as a terrorist organization. They have not. Talk less of describing something happening in Bokutunja County, a small tiny town by standards of America, as a terrorist organization. They have not described the Bokutunja County under which these people worked as a terrorist organization. It's well stated even in their indictment. They said Plotchini was the chairman of a group called Bokutunja where they were raising money. And so we're going to be out of the woods as soon as possible. I can only suspect, I can only wish that, say, these guys will come out of prison as individual heroes to their families, as national heroes to Amazonia, and as international heroes to the world at large, the world seeking freedom. That is what it would be. And so it is all set in black and gold that whatever thing they are accused of is not anybody feeding lies from behind the screen is wasting his time. No other State Department, no other Justice Department official is going to come out to contradict what the Justice Department wrote to Dr. Mungo. It's in record. They could have said, well, we're still investigating. But they had investigated and found, as a matter of law, that these people have nothing criminal against them. At least not by the standards of American Justice Department. Because there's no law, there's no basic legal foundation for accusing them of doing terrorist acts when there is nothing describing Gokutinja, Ambazonia, or any other Ambazonian group as a terrorist organization. Even as of now, I have not seen any government in the world, including the United States, even describing Choayaba and its ADF as a terrorist organization. They have not done it. And so there's no basis even to charge anybody for that. So again, I think that the Kansas City 3 will turn out to be a blessing in disguise. Why? Because if you see the coalition, as announced by the president last Thursday, the coalition of international legal experts, international legal bodies, and individuals, that's coalesced behind this case. It is not telling that, what would they say? They are not going to release the Kansas City 3. They will ask why they were locked up in the first place. They were helping people. Why were they helping people? What was going on there? They will have to listen to the story of why people were being killed, how homes were being burnt, how the people seem to be lacking help, to be needing help from their brothers and sisters everywhere in the world, including in the United States. And therefore, I believe that is a blessing in disguise for the struggle, a blessing in disguise for the individuals.
So, Barrister Tim, in two sentences, Bar Mbeseha, tell us, what would you describe the whole process so far and the way you envisage the process to go now, looking at the fact that Lawyers Coalition is involved in this? So far, what would you describe it? And moving on right now, how do you envisage it to be in two sentences?
I will envisage it to be like this. The Republic of Cameroon, our opponents, they have their backs on the wall, diplomatically and legally. Because the American State Department, which is the largest, which the world believes, whether like it or not, may not like the United States, but they believe in their laws. Even the Russians believe the Americans have laws. Because diplomatically, you may not like America, but they are heavyweight pullers. And so when this coalition of lawyers come on board, I'm still to see that people go and get in Salai to constitute its own lawyers, with some private lawyers from France, to fight this mighty baobab of so many lawyers coalescing on this cause. The Republic, their backs are on the wall, just legally and politically. Not even to talk about militarily when we go into the fine print of Ngo Kutunje draft, Boo draft, and other things that happen on it. Their backs are on the wall. Over to you.
All right, so it's an amazing, exciting development looking at the letter that Dr. Martin Mungwa sent out and received, the one he got. It is quite an exciting development. Would like you to tell us the significance diplomatically of Dr. Martin Mungwa's letter, the one he received, the significance diplomatically.
Well, diplomatically, Dr. Mungwa received a legal document from the Justice Department. This was justice. Diplomatically, we should pick those things. We have taken other steps somewhere else legally. For example, we have filed a case at the ICC. Pending there, we have receipts for filing the case. They have acknowledged having our case pending in their office. So we will take all these things together. What we have about the ICC, which is criminal. What we have about Kansas City 3 from the Justice Department, which is criminal. We will put all these things together and constitute a file. People will ask if all these things which are happening on this are a result of some unsolved political problem. Not just unsolved political problem, unsolved international political problem. Because the colonization of colonies, not even colonies, of trust territories, is something that was guided by law, international law, the United Nations Charter, and United Nations resolutions. These are all documents that countries that sign up to the United Nations are bound to respect their charter. They are bound to respect United Nations resolutions. And so when we put all this in and put a package, it can only help us diplomatically and destroy that replacement. Because up to this point, if we're not sitting on the table to talk with that group, they are avoiding it because they have committed so many diplomatic errors that they are ashamed that if they sat on the table, they have no defense. They're going to be ashamed of themselves. And so diplomatically, I think we have an edge with this added to other things that we have as constituent elements of this struggle.
I
Over to
certainly
you.
agree with you, Barrister Tim Mbeseha. Well, moving away from the Kansas City 3 because it's ending with the conclusion that indeed there is a silver lining, not just any silver lining, but hope that the Kansas City 3, Francis Chinyi Langmi Nesto and Claude Chi would be released any moment soon. So what we're looking at now is Ngo Kitunja. Over the weekend, we drafted Ngo Kitunja. We saw the speech of Dr. Martin Mungwa. Now, taking a look at the aspect where he talked about the military and authority and hierarchy, the government and county relationship. Would like you to give us a little briefing. What should it be like? Would you say Ngo Kitunja County has a good relationship between its county and government?
I think from Dr. Mungo's speech, he was talking to us or talking to any Ambazonian or anybody who listened to him. If you forget anything, there's something you should take home that you should never forget from that speech. You might forget many things because it was long. But the thing that you should never forget was part of what he said. He said Ngokutunja is like a house built on a rock. A house built on a rock. This is biblical. In addition to what he says in other things that were went to fishermen and they did all this and that. We can say, just from that alone, just from that sentence, we can expatiate on what that goes on. Ngokutunja, administratively, is a house on the rock. Militarily, is a house on the rock. I gave you the example about Sabga Hill. Sabga Hill is a natural barrier, not put there by them, but put there by God. That makes it impossible for an enemy to penetrate that thing. And so, the Ngokutunja 3, which were all officials of Ngokutunja County, the Lamni and his two colleagues, they were all officials of Ngokutunja. So administratively, from edge to edge to county, can we say they are functional? They are effectively functional. That's why you find these three people who were at the top of the county. They are not contradicting themselves. They were all taken to jail unjustly, but they were all taken to jail. None of them has come out to contradict themselves. To say, well, no, it was Chini who did this. No, it was Clark who did this. Oh, it was Chi. No, they are not contradicting themselves. And so to what you said, they asked, it shows that the foundation is solid administratively, from village to LGAs to the county.